It's Eric Mangini, a Jets and Browns head coach. He's joining us now. He was watching that thing yesterday, and he was fired up. There was a lot of situations here where, what made this game great is you had gutsy calls and fourth downs and missed field goal. There was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of tension. It was a very fluid game. As prepared as these coaches were, as you know, Eric, games go sideways really fast, and players – Nelson Aguilar at the end of the game runs out of bounds, and you're thinking, Nelson, stay in bounds. Let me start with this.
Okay.
You were a DB coach. You knew DBs. O-lines and DBs. When I think of you, that's what I always say. Eric knew his O-line, and he knows his DBs. So Malcolm Butler gets benched. Malcolm Butler's a good player. Malcolm Butler plays every snap. Is that something, Eric, as a DB coach, Belichick would tell you an hour before the game? Like, are you shocked by it?
I was shocked by it. To me, it was as surprising as the Jimmy Garoppolo trade because it's so out of character for the way that they operate. When you coach the secondary, you need to have communication. And look, New England struggled a lot early in the season with communication. There's especially going into the Super Bowl with the heightened tension, the way that this offense runs with the shifts, the motions, the multiple formations.
Yes.
You want to have that stuff buttoned up. And it's also the way that you study film. If you've been working inside and studying Nelson Aguilar, and now you've got to shift outside, that preparation's different. Now, there's an element of that every week because someone could get hurt, but you want to be able to focus on the role that you have. In addition, everybody else wants to know how you're going to play and how you're going to react to situations. So that part is different, too. When I hear the talk after the game, and Eric Rowe says he didn't know until right before the game, and then you hear Malcolm Butler, and there's not a lot of atonement in his voice, so it doesn't sound like something was wrong or was a disciplinary reason, but something had to happen for that to go down the way that it went down.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but if Eric Rowe didn't know until before the game, wouldn't that have, again, Philadelphia deserves all the love here. Wouldn't it have a little impact, if nothing else, a little confusion on your defensive back? I mean, listen, Philadelphia did whatever they wanted offensively. New England didn't have a pass rush. New England couldn't stop the ground game. New England struggled in the first half on man coverage. I mean, not a lot New England did well. I did think in the second half they took Alshon Jeffrey largely out of the equation, but they threw to Zach Ertz. They ran the ball. They had time to throw. They did trick plays. A little confusion by the secondary, perhaps?
Well, it's not just confusion, but there's also a comfort level. Malcolm Butler played almost 98% of the snaps during the regular season.
And was healthy yesterday.
And was healthy yesterday, so that wasn't the issue. The other players also react to that as well. There's an emotional component where when someone you've been playing with for a long time suddenly is benched, I'm sure they didn't understand all the reasons why either. That plays into it.
Of course.
In addition,
these are 25-year-old kids. They're emotional.
And this is one of the most emotional moments, maybe the most emotional moment that they'll face in their life. So you want it live, so that you want that comfort. You want them relaxed. You want to bring down the tension, as opposed to heighten the tension. Now I can say this: Malcolm Butler needs to clean this up. He's going to become a free agent. And every team that interviews him is going to want to know what happened.
So should he get his story out?
You're going to have to, because you're not talking about an offensive coach. You're talking about arguably one of the best defensive coaches, if not the best defensive coach in the history of the NFL, decides not to play you before the Super Bowl. I want to know, if I'm bringing you in as a free agent,
what the hell happened?
What happened?
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about this. I don't like second-guessing coaches. It's one of my least favorite things guys like me, sportscasters, do. I didn't see the tape. I don't know your injuries. I don't know your patterns. But there are some macro themes. If you have a great quarterback, your defense is struggling, I believe you go into games saying, fellas, we know the matchups. They're going to move the football on us. If we get to a 4th and 1 in the red zone early, I may go for it. So late in the game, 5 minutes to go, Philadelphia's like, we're going for it. They didn't even call a timeout, Eric. That decision was made before the game, like, we're going to be aggressive. New England had a goal line situation, Eric, early in the second quarter, 4th and 1. Now, they missed the field goal, so it's easy for me to jump on and pile on. But I got the MVP. I'm moving the football. I trust my offensive line. Situationally, we're the best team in football in a decade. Why did they settle for a field goal?
Well, look, we're celebrating the Philadelphia Eagles' aggressiveness right now. But when New England was down by 5 and they walked down the field and scored a touchdown, All we'd be talking about today is the fact that you went for 2 in the second quarter, which made you go for 2 later in the game, which made it a situation where New England could have won the game prior to that strip sack, and we're not celebrating it the way we're celebrating right now.
It should be noted, too, and I said this, credit to Doug Peterson, but they had 12 men on the field. Nelson Aguilar ran out of bounds. There's something that happened on the Hail Mary that we'll get to in a second.
Well, what about with 2:03 left? 2:03 left, you've been aggressive the whole game.
Yeah, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia has the ball. They decide to run the ball, but that's one of those situations where you can run or pass because the clock is going to stop. Either way.
Good call. That's a great call.
So the whole game, you're aggressive. And here's the situation. This is no gimme field goal. And I get you may not want a penalty, but you've taken those chances up to that point.
And succeeded on virtually all of them.
And now everybody thinks you're going to run. They took a chance earlier in the game where it looked like they were going to run as well, and they took a shot down the field, or they threw it down the field. To me, that was another perfect opportunity to be aggressive, but they did pull back some at that point.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.